Good morning. My name is Tina Mayer, and I'm your worship associate today. Our guest pianist today is Richard Devens. Please join me in Rise in Body or Spirit to sing hymn number 1017 in our teal hymnal, We Are Building a New Way.
Good morning. My name is April Strittmater, and I am a member of the Board of Trustees of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Hudson Valley. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Hudson Valley. Whether you have been with this congregation a decade or more, or if this is your first time visiting, we welcome you. Whatever the faith and traditions of your past, we welcome you. Whatever your theological stance, we welcome you. Whoever you are and whomever you love, we welcome you. Whatever your heritage, we welcome you. We respectfully acknowledge the territory on which our church building sits as the ancestral homeland of the Munsee, Lenape, and Wappinger people. We have one board announcement today. The Sharing and Caring Committee is happy to provide the following support to members, friends, and their immediate households: cards, hand-knitted care shawls, flowers for the bereaved, meal preparation and delivery from 1 to 4 weeks, grocery shopping and delivery from 1 to 4 weeks, transportation to and from UUCHV services and/or to and from medical appointments within a 15-mile radius, with please give 2 weeks advance notice. If you are in need of one of these services, please talk with one of our committee members, Tina Mayer, Bob Hudson, Nora Mulligan, Molly Parrish, or myself. Or you can email Tina directly at mayerb872@gmail.com. If you know someone who may be in need of these services, please let them know that we're here and they can reach out to us directly. For the most up-to-date information on these topics and others, please refer to our weekly e-newsletter and check our website frequently. And please join us for conversation after the service. If you're present in the sanctuary, please come to the fellowship hall. If you're watching the live stream, the link for the Zoom coffee hour can be found in the Saturday reminder in your email. If you are just recently joining us and would like to receive our weekly e-news, please email us at uucroton@gmail.com with your name, and we will make sure you are added to our e-news list. Please remember to silence your phones at this time. Once again, we welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Hudson Valley.
Good morning. Good morning. 100,000 welcomes to you on this day. Special one. What we have as a faith community is the opportunity to learn from multiple stories. The stories we bring into the room from our own lives, the stories we encounter that we've been told by others, the stories from ancient texts from across different traditions that offer us lessons of kindness and gratitude and depth and meaning. In these walls, we share stories, and those stories ground us and connect us and give us a basis to imagine and hope and connect. To honor those stories and to honor our values, every week in our congregation, we ring the bell in our belfry 8 times. 8 times for the 8 ethical principles of our faith. We honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and we look for the struggle and the beauty of working to a world of beloved community. I now invite the children of our congregation, whether it's your first time or your manyth time, to join our Director of Religious Exploration, Jane Podell, and we will ring the bells 8 times for our 8 ethical principles. And may those bells resound across the Hudson Valley as we commit to imagination and hope. Good morning.
Our chalice lighting words today come from Sabon Fu Sommet. Community is the spirit, the guiding light of the tribe, whereby people come together in order to fulfill a specific purpose, to help others fulfill their purpose, and to take care of one another. Now please join us in saying our unison affirmation. The words can be found in your order of service. Inspired by love, our mission is to seek our true nature, connect deeply and openly, and act for justice.
Thank you. Now is the time in our community for a call to community, a time for all ages. We're going to do things a little differently today. First, we're going to give you all a minute to greet your neighbors and spend some time just saying hello. If you want, you have a minute or so to talk about something you're grateful for this morning, or if you just want to say hello, you may do so. So please, greet your neighbors. Thank you, everybody. Doesn't that energy feel good? That reconnection feels good. And now we're going to pause. Now we're going to have our meditation for all ages. And honoring those multiple pathways, I invite you to join in this breathing exercise. It was first offered by the great Buddhist monk and teacher from Vietnam, Thich Nhat Hanh. And Hanh lived from 1926 until 2022. And he was a founding teacher in the movement known as Engaged Buddhism. Engaged Buddhism is a type of Buddhist spiritual practice which focuses on habits both of mindfulness and centering, and also the encouragement for activism for social change. Engaged Buddhism builds on traditions in Vietnam and inspires activists around the world. Han has written, by dwelling in the present moment, you put an end to the attachments of the past and anxieties about the future. Life is only available in the present. It is necessary to return to this moment, to be in touch with life as it really is, to be alive, to touch all the wonders of life within you and around you. To do that is truly a miracle. And in that spirit, today we offer a meditation exercise from the blooming of a lotus. This breathing exercise is called Returning to My Body in the Present Moment, and it contains 5 couplets. As you are willing and able, please join in this moment, returning to my body in the present moment. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Breathing in, I'm aware of the whole length of my in-breath. Breathing out, I'm aware of the whole length of my out-breath. Breathing in, I am aware of my whole body. Breathing out, I relax my whole body. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Breathing in, I dwell in this moment. Breathing out, it is a wonderful moment. Many people begin practice sitting meditation with an exercise like this. And one time together, breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. It is a wonderful moment. As we come back into our space, renewed by connection and going inward, I invite us to share in a unison responsive reading. In the order of service that you received, your little program as you came in, on the back page you'll notice a responsive reading. This beautiful message was first adapted at All Souls Unitarian in New York, and it was first celebrated at their Trans Day of Visibility. And it points to this deepening connection that out of many voices, we are in a community. I'll offer the selections that are reader, and I invite all of us to read the words in bold. Together by Penny Hackett Evans. Each of us brings a separate truth. We bring the truth of our own life, our own story, all. This room is rich with truth, rich with experience. We are needy, joyful, frightened, anxious, bored. We all bring our truth with us in.
May we all recognize the truth and the story in everyone's life.
And may we hear and honor the truths we bring as we gather together.
Together we have truth. Together we have a story. Together we are a community.
And in that spirit of community, I invite up Michael and Margie Kemper, who are going to share with us about the work of this congregation, our shared work, and our sustaining of this ministry. Thank you.
I don't like public speaking, so I'll start with that. I think in my 21 years of being a member here, this is the first time I've stood at the podium, even though I've done a lot of other things. So, I'm Margie Kemper, and this is my husband, Mike. I started coming here in 2002 when our oldest child was 5 years old. He is now 25, and he is identifying as non-binary. We have another child named Sam, who's 22, who's cisgender. And they have learned so much coming up through RE here and going to OWL, and it just means the world to me to be part of this community. So we are really honored to organize the pledge drive, and it kicked off yesterday. The packets are in the mail, and Michael's going to tell you about our theme and more. Good. And Michael started coming last year, so how about that?
Yeah, and I'm not much for public speaking either, so I'm going to read. Reverend Daniel has reminded us on several occasions how this congregation first came to be, how a group of like-minded commuters imagined a place where they'd like to worship, and they worked together to make it happen here in Croton. It's in that same spirit that we'd like to kick off this year's pledge drive. We'd like you to imagine what you'd like the UUCHV to be, not just for the coming year or even the next 5 years. We'd like you to imagine the UUCHV that the next generation will inherit. Pledge drives often feel mundane. Yes, the pledge drive is about paying the bills, but it's about so much more. It's about commitment to each other, to our fellowship, and to the future of the UUCHV. The next generation is so aware about sexuality and gender, about racism and prejudice, about climate change, and presumably about how they worship. Like all of you sitting here, young people today want to be part of something bigger than themselves. Whether it's saving the planet, promoting inclusivity, or improving race relations, many of their ideals align perfectly with our UU principles. The coming generation should be comfortable here. This should be their home. Imagine our fellowship reinfused with the energy of youth. Imagine a UUCHV with not only an updated building, but a modernized one. Imagine having a greater online presence. We're already live streaming the Sunday services. Thank you, Chris Oliver, Gary Simon, Peter Calloway, and Gil Long. We're posting the sermons to our website. Thank you, John Eigner. But there's much more that can be done to appeal to potential members. We need to move forward, and that will take some time, effort, and yes, money. As important as it is to grow our fellowship, it's vital that we honor our existing members. If we make our building more accessible, if we make it easier to get around inside the building and out, we can make the worship experience better for everyone, those that have been here for years, as well as those members yet to experience our vibrant community. Your pledge is your investment in this fellowship. When you think about what you can contribute, we ask you to do so in the spirit of those commuters who imagined the UUCHV into existence so many years ago. Your pledge will help determine the kind of fellowship we have today, tomorrow, and hopefully far into the future. Imagine the possibilities. Thank you.
Yes, no?
Yeah, please.
All right. So in case you haven't noticed the theme Imagine, we are going to honor that theme by singing as a congregation.
Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as
Okay. And now we invite all the children in the sanctuary to join Jane Podell, our religious exploration leader, to attend their own religious experience. Go down, please. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Our reading today is the parable of the mustard seed from the Good News of Luke, chapter 13, verses 18 through 22. What is the kingdom of heaven like, and to what should I compare it? The kingdom is like a grain of mustard seed that someone took and sowed in the garden. And the mustard seed grew, waxed, and became a great tree. Then the very birds of the air made nests and lodged and nested in the branches of it. And again he said, To what should I compare the kingdom of God? It is like leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal until the whole was leavened. And Jesus went through the cities and villages, teaching and journeying toward Jerusalem. Let us now bear witness to the joys and sorrows experienced in our community. If you have a brief yet personally significant joy or sorrow that you are willing to share, please come to the microphone and speak loudly so that everyone, including the people watching at home, can hear you. If you would prefer to only have a candle lit without speaking, please just stand and I will light a candle for you. Oh, I guess there?
Yeah, okay. Hi, my name is Nora Mulligan, and I have so many joys. My birthday was on Friday. My Irish-American family celebrated yesterday, as you might expect. That's one joy. Second joy is a work situation that has been very complicated, is resolving itself in the best possible way. And third, my father-in-law turns 95 today.
Oh, it's higher again. All right. Okay, I guess you can all hear me. So this is actually from Kathy Clark. Kathy Clark says, "Stupid COVID," as I stop my feet. Finally got me after 3 years. Know that now that I am not sleeping 24/7, I am using it as an excuse to eat a whole pan of brownies.
I'm Carl Grimm. I have a joy and a sorrow. Last week I was told that Clara Horn passed away. She was the last of the founding members of the fellowship here at age 91. She lived in Windsor, Connecticut, and she was the treasurer of this group for many years. And she kind of ruled with an iron hand. Unitarians like to spend money on various causes, and she kept us under control so we could pay our mortgage and see the future. She was really, Gordon, her husband, and her were totally dedicated to the community, and a lot of improvements in this building were made because of her interests and concerns. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Al, join us all as well. The joy, we had a lovely hike yesterday with one of our oldest friends, MJ, and Tina and I, both feel like old friends are good for the soul, so it was a lovely day and a lunch. And unfortunately, the sorrow is later in the day, we found out that a good friend of ours, Marion, has stage 2 cancer, and they're working out a treatment plan for her, and she's kind of been a rock for her family, who have had some other issues as well. So we're sorry to hear that, and ask that you keep Marion and her family in your thoughts. Thank you.
I'm Margie, and I have a joy to share. Michael and I attended Pride Works on Wednesday at Pace University. I had gone as a volunteer back in 2018 and 19 with a contingent from here, including Betsy. And they're back after COVID, and it's a conference for youth and their allies. So there were over 500 LGBTQ youth and their allies taking all these amazing sessions, really empowering, and the Loft was a big proponent there, Al. It was just great to see them supported and able to be comfortable and safe expressing themselves.
Hi, I'm Jenny Stillman, and I have a joy to share. Last night was the first time I've been involved with Run for Hunger, sorry, Midnight Run. Our church has been involved for many years, going in the wintertime with food, clothing, toiletries, etc. So last night was the first time I've heard so many good things about this program for years. I decided it's time. And that's a very moving experience for me to be sort of experiencing how the homeless live in New York City. We did see, a number of them sleeping on the sidewalk or in sheltered areas by churches. The number of people showing up to collect donations, clothing, food, and whatnot is steadily growing back after the pandemic. Apparently, there were very few, in the past 3 years. So it was good to see our church being so active in this program. I just want to thank everyone who was involved in prepping the food and collecting the clothes. So think about all the clothes that we're going to need again for next year: warm winter clothes, hats, coats, blankets, etc. Thank you.
We also acknowledge the unspoken joys and sorrows that are held in the center of our hearts. And we also light a candle for those people who have yet to find a spiritual home to share their joys and sorrows.
Our music for meditation today, it's a hymn, and number 298, Wake Now My Senses. It's a really beautiful, beautiful tune in your gray hymn book, and we will sing the first 3 verses. Wake now my senses. Now is the time in our service for a moment of prayer, of centering, and a moment of silence. These candles are always sacred, and especially sacred today, as we just heard from Carl, the last of the founders of this fellowship has passed. If you look at the book of membership on the first page, Claire and Gordon's name, they're there. They're there on that first page. And so these candles burn especially in honor of all those who created this space we are in today. Spirit of life and love, bigger than the universe, smaller than a grain of sand, be with us in this moment. Give us the graciousness to encounter one another. Help us be sources of kindness in a world that can be so cold. Inspire us to be present to what is sublime in each moment. Give us the courage to be braver than we think we can be. And give us the love to be present even in those times when we want to walk away. May we be inspired, may we see connections, and may we carry the candles in our heart as we encounter the days ahead. May it be so. Imagination, surprise, stories. St. Patrick's Day, this time of year, means a lot to me, in part because of my late grandmother Peggy, who was amazing. And Peggy often would tell stories of different time and place. Her parents lived a tremendously difficult life and died young and came from Ireland and passed on to her just these echoes of stories at least from the 19th century, but probably tied to older ones. And one that she always told me, all of us, my siblings, Nia and David, the three of us, was about candles in windows. And that it was a sign of welcome during the suffering that Ireland went through. If you saw a candle in a window, that was a home you could go to and spend the night and have shelter if you needed it. When I was little, I liked when she told stories of banshees more, ghosts. But now that I am older, that's the story, actually, that embodied so much of her life, and so much of what I think speaks to the deepest aspect of religious practice. I want us to today imagine, who are we called to be? Who are we called to be? And allowing imagination to take hold means we have to risk something. We have to risk comfort. We have to risk patterns. We have to risk what feels safe. And when I look at the centuries that have led us to this moment, so much was based on risk. So many of us are in this room because someone at one point did something seemingly ridiculous and left a space that seemed at least known, if not safe. Someone in your family's heritage made a choice which has led you to be here in this moment. And now we're in this shared temple, exploring who we are called to be. Joys and sorrows as a ritual to me is at the heart of Unitarian Universalism. But there is a secret. There are actually multiple forms of joys and sorrows. If you went to First Unitarian Congregational Society in Brooklyn, you would encounter a form of this ritual which would begin in darkness. The minister would offer a prayer at the beginning, and they would say the names aloud of individuals seeking care or intention or just to be remembered. And then the entire area in front of the pulpit is full of maybe 100 candles, and congregants come up and silently light candles while music fills this darkened, almost cathedral-like building. If you went to the meeting house on Nantucket, it wouldn't be too different from what we just encountered today. A group of people will come forward and share what's on their heart. If you went to the First Unitarian Congregational Society of San Francisco, it might seem more like what you would encounter in an Episcopal or Catholic church. It's like prayers of the people. And the minister or lay leader comes forward and says, this week we call to mind those suffering in Ukraine. We call to mind those suffering in Yemen. And there's this constant collective focus on how are we connected to what's going on in the world, and an invocation, a responsive invication to remember. It doesn't matter the style, but what matters is the space and intention to mark time, to name names, to create space to light candles or say aloud who is in our circle of concern. How do we embody it? Anger has something to teach us. Maybe it's to be honest. Sorrow has something to teach us. Maybe it's to slow down. Joy has something to teach us, to be present. Each one of these emotions, even the scary emotions, has the right to be named or has the right to be honored through simply something as simple as saying the name of a person aloud. One of the most poignant, it was small, one of the most seemingly small, poignant joys and sorrows I heard at the Brooklyn congregation was when someone said, Olive Wong, remembering my husband of 50 years. And that was it. And so much was in that sentence. Another joys and sorrows that broke my heart was when I was at my home congregation, about the size of ours, in Providence, Rhode Island, and one of our leaders in the congregation, a teacher, lit a candle for his student who had been shot that week. Joys and sorrows is so painful and yet so affirming, because then it invites, what can we do for that family? How can we connect? How can the 50, the 60 of us gathered as strangers say, wait, you're not alone. You're not alone. And we're New Yorkers, so there's a deep sense of like, okay, don't get too close, like, you don't know what's going to happen. But what we're asking us to do in religious practice is actually to challenge that common sense that we can't trust anybody else. You don't know what's going to happen. And there are good reasons that that's a default, but there's also something deeply limiting in living our lives that way. Dr. Sharon Welch, who is a Unitarian Universalist feminist theologian at our seminary in Chicago, argues that communication across different communities is essential for a healthy ethical worldview. She is suspicious deeply of any religious tradition that elevates any one community as particularly more worthy of attention than others. She says material interaction between multiple communities with divergent norms, principles, and mores is essential for a foundational, expansive moral critique and moral imagination. Material interaction between multiple communities with divergent norms, principles, and mores. making time to have a conversation, to engage in the community and charitable and social justice work that will encounter and expand our horizons, whether that's the Westchester Coalition for Police Reform or Midnight Run. The work we do here is tied to the work we do outside the walls, and they feed each other. The stories we create then become sources of religious reflection, which then inspire different actions. It's a cycle. Partnerships grow the imagination. Friendships grow the imagination. Multiple voices grow the imagination. All of this is about widening the circle. Widening the circle of concern. All of that grows the ground of imagination. That ancient reading that Tina shared, the kingdom of heaven is a tree with roots that grows tall and lets birds find a nest. Religious language is often used for hellish ways by people trying to divide and destroy. But these ancient metaphors argue with those who use the language that way to say, well, at its base, it's a tree. Roots, growth, connection, unfolding story, ongoing, change is dynamic. Octavia Butler, the writer, said, God is change. And week after week, joys and sorrows are at their most holy in whatever form they are in, when they pull us into ourselves for deeper reflection and push us out of ourselves into wider connection across difference. Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman writes, sometimes it may feel like we do not know how to do what we know to do. We do not know how to be what we know to be. Pour out upon us whatever our spirits need of shock, of lift, of release, that we may find strength for these days, courage and hope for tomorrow. My grandma Peggy lived a hard life, a quiet life, a gentle life, and one that constantly, through stresses in the wider world or in just different family systems, brought a lot of challenges. But she had a persistent kindness that was a choice, and something that I deeply, deeply appreciated, because in a world where it is easy to become someone who says, don't trust anybody, maybe that was in the back of her head, but the greeting, the entry point was kindness and surprise. And my mother growing up always made sure that we were connected to the St. Patrick's Day food pantry and the St. Patrick's Day Thanksgiving connections. And she has Italian American heritage and made sure that we were very involved with St. Joseph's Day, which was an Italian holiday. And to me, this manifold deserves us. In our community, we espouse that all are connected. We know we are different in our feelings, in our origins, and our perspectives, but we all have an encounter on a quest to seek dignity and growth. We're not just one emotion. We're not just one origin. Multiple stories exist, and multiple stories can be written. As we light candles in the days ahead, may we be living spaces, living places, living encounters for what is unfolding. And when those forces, which are powerful and many and brutal in this world in the coming days and weeks and months, try to make a lot of money by telling us that we're divided, and by telling us that some people are better than others, and by telling us again and again, there's just not enough to care. We have to be the voices to say no. We have to be the voices who expand that community of concern, because there are people trying to shrink it. and we can light a candle and say there's room. May it be so.
Each week, we make an offering from the bounty we are blessed to enjoy. We do this in a spirit of love and generosity, aware that we have benefited from those who have gone before, those who in their turn gave generously. Our offering goes to support the work of love and justice undertaken by this community. Today's offering will be shared with Pride Works, I believe. Where is that? Okay, thank you. Yes, here it is. Yep, Emergency Shelter Partnership, an interfaith partnership in Northwestchester County, which provides short-term emergency shelter during the coldest 5 months of the winter. For more information, visit esp.ny.org. You can make your donation in several ways. If present in the sanctuary, you may give cash or a check in the offering plate as it comes by. You may also scan the QR code in your order of service. From your homes, you can make your donation via credit card or PayPal using the links provided in the e-newsletter. Please remember to give a little extra to compensate for the 3% surcharge. Or if you prefer, you can always mail us a check. The offering will now be given and gratefully received. Please join me in the dedication of the offering. The words are in your order of service. May these gifts and the work of our hands and hearts give power to what we stand for as a community of faith. And now please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn number 346 in your gray hymnal. Come sing a song with me.
And I'll bring a song of love and a
mind. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when home is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. So please join me in extinguishing the chalice. The words are found in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
May we be inspired. May we be connected. May we make space for the multiple stories that we hold and that we encounter. And may the days and hours and minutes ahead bring some good surprises. May it be so. Thank you.